by the water.
With Joe, I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, man. Look here. It's about time for the law to be laid down, right? The old head brothers, man, that try to put Tory in the cross, we got to deal with that, right? And Tory, he wants to be in on it, right? And normally, I wouldn't even allow that. You feel what I'm saying? But my COS, he's telling me, he said, man, you need to make an example of these brothers, right? He said, you need to send a message, man, that this is not going to be tolerated. And I told him, I said, but putting Tory in the cell like that, man, that looked like letting him get his lick back. And he said he was the one that was violated. You need to let him get his lick back. I said, but here's the thing. I don't want to set no precedent like that, man, where I have brothers that get put in violation, and then if it turns out that they were trying to be set up by somebody, let them go in the room. It seems personal, bro. I said, it seems personal, and I don't want these brothers, man, that we got to put hands on to feel like it's personal. I said, they already trying to undermine me. You feel what I'm saying? He said, but I tell you what. He said, this is what you should do. You should make them brothers come and apologize to him, though. I said, you right on that. And I'm going to give you that. But I'm going to make these brothers come and apologize to him, but this is what we need to do to him. And my COS, right before I got ready to say that, he cut me off. He said, man, 6 minutes no cover up. 6 minutes no cover up. Now keep in mind, now see, I done been in the cell with a 6 minute no cover up, right? And that's when you usually gonna get your head manged up, right? 6 minute no cover up means you got 6 brothers that's gonna be in the cell with you for 6 minutes, putting them hands on you, right? And you can get back if you want to, right? But if you fall down and try to cover up, the clock starts all over. And it's serious, man. The only thing they can't do to you, man, is kick you, put their feet on you. Most definitely can't do that. That's disrespectful. Now think about that mindset for a second. It's disrespectful when you're in the room beating the brakes off somebody to put your feet on them. But it's not disrespectful to beat them within an inch of their life. Think about that. Think about that. But anyway, so I tell him, go on and write it up. And we got to send that up, you know what I'm saying? Let the brothers know that I answer to what the business is. And I said, you be in detail on what they did, because I think we might get some kickback, blowback on this one. So he wrote it up. I looked at it, signed it. He put it in the mail and sent it on out, right? That's how we had to do back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We had to let the G of the state know what was really going on, right? And I let them know everything that I was doing, especially when it came down to a physical violation. But I had these brothers on my team, right, that I could hand pick them. Even though I wasn't going to let Tory go in there, I picked some young ones, man. Long lungs. I'm talking about lungs is still pink like a baby. They ain't going to get tired. They're going to go in there and they're going to swing and swing and swing until they hear a whistle and tell them that's over with. That's enough. So I tell my COS, I said, get brother them back in here, right? Because I'm the type of individual, I always like to tell a brother to his face what it's going to be, right? You can look me in my eyes. It ain't going to be no situation with me, right? Look, back in the day, I didn't hold no favoritism. I didn't do that. Just couldn't do it, right? But anyway, I bring him in, right? My COS, he got him in and they talking to me. And they telling me, Joe T, man, just give us a break on this one, man. I said, can't be no break, bro. Can't be no break. But they were like, bro, you know, it was one of the older brothers. He was already in his 40s then. He said, bro, 6 minutes? Come on now. He said, man, let's at least get 3 minutes. And I looked at him, and I ain't lying, I copped deuces. I said, hey, make it 3 minutes, man. That should be enough. That should be enough. So they went on and accepted it, man. They pled guilty. We ain't have to have no hearing or nothing like that, right? They went on and pled guilty, and they apologized to Tory and told him what's up. And then on top of that, I told him after the violation took place, when we have our deuce later on, and the deuce is just a meeting, y'all. When we have our deuce later on, you're going to have to apologize to the whole body and let everybody know what you did. See, because one thing I didn't like to do is have secrets. See, because when you have secrets, what that does, that allows the individuals that feel like they were wronged or the ones that got caught in this particular situation, it allowed them to try to manipulate the scenes later on and try to say they got treated unfairly. But now, when you make them apologize in front of everybody and own it all, ain't no more conversating about it. Because after that day, when it's all said and done, it's over with. So they went in the cell later that afternoon, right? Now, Tory trying to be slick. He's still trying to manipulate his way up in there, right? And I told bro, if you go up in that cell, you're going to get beat. Because bro really wanted to, let him go up in there. But he knew that I meant what I said. I would remove him from his spot and beat him, period. So when Tory came around talking about he wanted to run up in there, he knew the COS was sympathetic to his call. He told him, "Hey, man, take him to a cell and lock him in, man. He ain't even to be out here." On Joe T's orders. So they took him to a cell. He pissed off, but he better not buck. Because if word come back up at here to me, it's going to be a problem. So they took brought him in the cell and they whooped him good for 3 long minutes. They come up out there sweating, a little blood here and there and all this and that, right? But you could tell they had been banged up, right? So when the COS came to the party, he told me what had happened. What had happened was, when he told me what had happened, I just looked at him. I said, "Man, when you had a deuce tonight, make sure they apologize." He said, "I got you, old man." That's what they used to call me, old man. So he gets them down there and they had a deuce and whatnot. And because I wasn't able to make it to that deuce, you feel what I'm saying? I wasn't there later on that afternoon. I had some other things I had to do, you know what I'm saying? So he took care of the business. He made sure that them brothers apologized to everybody. But they had to explain what was going on because he was needling them. He was saying, "Well, tell us why you did that. What were you thinking?" and all this and that. He learned from me. And so they kept telling them everything that they had been through and what they were going through. And they felt like, the younger brothers were kind of pushing them out of the way. And I understand what he was saying. And I know a lot of y'all probably trying to say that don't even sound gangster. But let me tell you something. We were men before we were gangsters, right? And all people feel some kind of way when they start to feel like that ain't nobody paying attention to them, that they're irrelevant, that they don't matter, that they're too old, whatever the case may be. And that was the same situation with them. It was the same situation with them. So when they started to explain all of this stuff to the brothers were listening to them and they said, "I understand, I feel what you're saying, I get it. I see exactly what you're trying to say." But then one of the beautiful things that happened, and I hate that I wasn't there, one of the beautiful things that happened is all the brothers, they came together and they said, "Folks, it ain't like that. We need y'all. We need y'all around." And it was that camaraderie. My COS was telling me about it. He said it was a good thing. So later on that week, when I was able to come out and we down on the ball field, everybody down there kicking it and whatnot, everybody was coming up to me, man, and they was embracing me and they was telling me, how much they respect the way I handle things and this, that, and the third. And they ain't never been under any leadership like that, right? And I'm looking at them like, what in the world is going on, right? I'm starting to think it's like Caesar. They finna get me, you know what I'm saying? Because the lifestyle will make you paranoid like that. But what I learned that day is you keep it fair across the board. And sometimes it might call for you to do something that might seem harsh at the time, but as long as you got a lesson in it. So you got to put a lesson in the punishment. And that's something that we leave out today. Ain't no lesson in it. It's just do it because I said do it. And that's what makes it hard for a lot of people to accept correction. Because they can't see the lesson in it. And sometimes you have to explain it to them when they don't get it. And if you see that their face is confused, you got to explain it to them. And that's what I'm saying about a lot of the younger brothers that feel like they want to be a part of this type of lifestyle. What they don't understand is you can't run from the problems that you have, thinking that the problems that you have are going to be solved by you joining a gang or running around with somebody that's got you going against the morals and the values that your parents or your grandparents or whoever in your family taught you. You can't run from your pain. You can't. And joining a gang or joining any organization is not going to change that for you. It will help you mask that pain, but it won't help you relieve that pain, if it makes any sense to you. Because that's what goes on with a lot of individuals today when it comes to being a part of something. They're trying to run from something. And sometimes, a lot of times, most of the time, they don't even know what they're running from. But when you have a situation where something violent, a violent lifestyle looks attractive to you, a lifestyle of criminality looks attractive to you, take a second and pause and think about it. Something must be wrong with me. My calculations are off. And if you have somebody in your family that's going through something like that, take time to pause. Don't be so judgmental too fast out the gate. Something is off. It's the same, listen to me, y'all. It's the same as if you have a child in your family that's doing all kind of outlandish stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you start to pay attention to them when they're doing all this bad stuff. When they're doing the good stuff, it's like everything goes on the way it does, normal like, right? But see, what you got to remember about kids coming out the womb craving attention, and they constantly need it. And when they start to feel ignored, they'll ratchet it up and do more and more and more to try to get the attention from you, right? But while they're trying to get this attention, their behavior starts to get twisted. And when their behavior gets twisted, what can happen in a lot of those situations is this. That behavior can go from playing basketball, football, baseball, soccer, all of those, hockey, all of those different types of things, to the streets. Because now somebody that they met in school, or somebody that they met at the bus stop, or somebody they met at the grocery store, somebody they met separate from you is telling them that they matter. But here's how you show us that you matter. Go sell this dope for me, or hold this gun for me, or do this thing in the streets for me. And when they go do it, they get all this fake love from those individuals. And then their minds, because they're still young and impressionable, their minds take all of that. This means something. I'm getting what I want. They're getting what they want. And they'll continue to behave in that behavior. Now they done went from a drug dealer to a stick-up kid, from a stick-up kid to a murderer, maybe a rapist. Ain't no telling what it is that they're doing, but they're doing all these things because they're yelling and screaming out to you saying, look at me. Look at me. But here's the caveat to all of that. Here's the caveat to all of that. The system grabs a hold of them. And when the system grabs a hold of them, the system is saying, I see you. I see you. But ain't no love in the system, y'all. It's just consequences and repercussions for your behavior. And see, that's what a lot of people don't get. And when you deal with that situation as is, like the system gonna deal with it with consequences and repercussions, what happens is this. The family members or the loved ones, they think that they're getting off the hook. Because it's about personal responsibility. That's something I say a lot, right? So don't get it twisted. See, they did that. The system is holding them accountable. But wait a minute, what did you do? What did you do? Did you not see the pain that they were exhibiting? Yeah, you saw it, but you didn't read it right. You didn't read it right. Because that person that became a teenager, that person that became an adult, they were crying out for somebody to see them. And nobody saw them. And then somebody in the streets saw them. And when people in the streets see them, the system sees them at the same time. And a lot of times we think because the system got them, they did it to themselves, which they did. They did. But you got to remember, a lot of times, if your brain ain't fully developed, you're not understanding what you're doing. And by the time you come to realization of understanding what you did, and when I say what you did, I don't mean you didn't understand what selling drugs was. You didn't understand what holding a pistol was. You didn't understand what shooting somebody and hurting them or violating them in some kind of sexual way was. I'm not saying you didn't understand that. What I'm saying is you didn't understand why you were doing it. You have all these million one excuses. We ain't had no money, so I sold drugs. We didn't have no money to pay the rent, so I robbed the store. You use those reasons to justify that behavior, but the real reason is way deeper than that. You done buried it over the years. It's weird. It's deeper. The real reason is buried beneath all the pain that you've been through. And see, a lot of times we don't see that pain. All we see is the behavior. We don't learn to speak to the pain. We can't learn to speak to the hurt. Because now we're looking at the situation that you caught yourself up in. And that's what I mean when I say they didn't understand what was going on. One of the favorite things, man, when I read in the Bible, man, when you talk about the crucifixion of Yahshua Jesus, right? When he said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Think about that. Think about that. A lot of times, man, we get caught up in these things where we end up doing a lot of things and we don't really fully understand what's really going on. Spiritual warfare, y'all. But I ain't going to get too deep into that. But what I wanted y'all to understand is that this lifestyle, somebody's always going to say, I see you. And I used to be one of those individuals. And I put a lot of people on a track that I thought was right, but I didn't fully understand what was going on like I do now. And that's why I share these stories with you. because I want you to fully understand when you see your son or your daughter, your grandson or your granddaughter, somebody like that, and they're participating in that life, you got to fight for them. You got to fight for them and get them away from that. And now they're not going to listen. They're not going to hear you, but you got to love on them. You got to love on them, and you got to learn to speak to that pain that they're going through. Because it won't take long, y'all. It won't take long before that pain is so deeply buried up under all the hurt that they won't even recognize it no more. So if you wait too long, they're not even going to be able to explain to you what it is that they're feeling. You understand what I'm saying? I know y'all understand what I'm saying. Y'all my people. Y'all my family. I know y'all understand what I'm saying. Y'all smart people. I know that. I've come to understand that. And look, let me say this before I wrap this episode up. I appreciate all the well wishes for my birthday and all of the things that you've done for me. And I appreciate all of y'all that went to read the article that I did in Newsweek. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank Miss Lynn. She was my consultant on that with the writing. She did a phenomenal job. She listened to me talk and she put it in writing for me. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate her for that. And I want to thank all of y'all for going there and reading it and whatnot. But look here, y'all. Keep listening. Keep listening. I'm not going anywhere. Just keep listening. And thank you for all the support that you're showing me and giving me. And this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.